All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thanks so much for being here. As always, appreciate you guys' time and attention. You're awesome for being here. If it's your first time finding our podcast, hit the subscribe button so you catch all the future episodes. How's your day going, Blakely?
Fantastic.
All good. We've got a Q&A episode for you today and a little topic that I want to discuss for a minute. The cues that we're going to be Aing today are talking about coming back from a back injury, something we definitely both know something about. We're going to talk about some advice for a new online fitness coach. So if you are a coach or you're just trying to get into it, pay attention to that. And we're going to answer a question about 3 or 4 daily habits that we both keep in place to keep ourselves on track and stay healthy. So we're going to get to all those things. You know, we had a sponsor for today for this episode, but they backed out because last week's Thursday episodes was sponsored by Fall, I think.
And they went away.
Fall's gone.
Fall's gone. We had 3 days of fall.
She's in the tank top. I'm in the t-shirt.
Now it's 90 again.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to make this podcast about the weather, but we are ready for some consistent fall weather here in Central Texas.
Well, then we need to move because this is not where you get consistent fall weather.
I mean, it's Halloween this week. Let's go. Let's get some cooler weather going up. Quick announcement, not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. If you want all the details about the 12-week strength training program that we have starting on Monday, October 28th, go listen to last Thursday's episode where we talked a lot more about it. But yes, we have a 12-week strength training program. This is appropriate for people who are new that are going to be using dumbbells, for people who have a lot of experience and have done back squats and deadlifts with barbells. It's a 4-day per week program. You're going to get coached through our app, just like all of our training clients. And it is...
Well, the program is uncoached, but you're going to get 1 coached week per month because we want to make sure when you start, you're doing all the lifts right and safe. And then month 2, you're going to get a video check-in from your coach. Make sure, you send them some videos, make sure everything's looking good. And then at month 3, there is a barbell version if you have barbell experience. And if you don't have barbell experience, there is a dumbbell version that I'm creating for this. Back in the day, when we started in 2020, this was one of our most popular programs. People come out of the woodworks for this thing. It's called Digital Barbell BUILT. So sign up, and it's going to take you through
next year,
the higher calorie season.
Oh yeah.
It's going to take you through November, December, and January. And there is a deload week written into this thing. So if there's a travel week in there, which, probably a lot of us will be traveling, don't worry about it. You can still do this program and even have a travel week.
If you've got any questions for us, send us a message on Instagram or send us an email. The website is digitalbarbell.com/built2024. I don't remember if we said the price yet or not, but it's $297 for all 3 months, which is pretty crazy. So jump on it. We're starting on Monday. So if you're listening to this the day that it comes out, you need to not hesitate. Or if you're in the future, get on our email list because you'll find out if we ever release it again.
You really are going to like this program. If you're interested in building just some dedicated strength, this is a dedicated strength program, no conditioning. And because we have had people just want to repeat this program every time we offer it because they really do see such a significant increase in their strength. And I think people like this structured format of these 12 weeks. The last time we offered this, we minimized it to 8 weeks. So you're getting all 12 weeks again. Let's go.
Do you think people like strength training because of the strength and muscle gains they make, or you think they like it because they don't have to do burpees?
I think they like knowing they go in, mindset, there's going to be 12 weeks where Blakely is not giving me a burpee.
I dig it. All right. Okay, so this is not a question, but this is something that came up in a podcast I was listening to this week or last week, and it just really got me thinking about a differentiation that I think people can make in their mind that will really help them amplify their results and help them be less frustrated on their fitness journey, okay? So if I were to grab 100 people walking down the street or in the grocery store and I would ask them, what's the number one challenge you face when it comes to staying healthy? Being consistent with exercise, being consistent with the way that you say that you want to eat as far as your nutrition goes. The number one answer I would get would be consistency. I struggle with consistency. I'll do good for a little while and then I fall off track. And this can go on the short scale from like a Monday through Friday time frame, or this could be like I do good January, February, March, and then fall off track. But it's this struggle with consistency. So consistency gets the blame, really. Like people just think if I could only be more consistent, I would get better results.
Yeah.
But the reframe I want to give you for this episode and this point that I want to make is if you stop thinking that you want to be consistent and you focus more on being persistent, you'll get better results and you'll automatically become more consistent. So I know this might sound kind of pedantic or like I'm playing word games here, but there's a big difference between persistence and consistency. Persistent and consistent. Persistency, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget how I want to say it.
Okay.
Persistence is about sticking with something despite challenges, setbacks, or obstacles. It's the drive to keep pushing forward and take action even when things are difficult. So what you have to do is you can't get to a place where you're being consistent without taking action. And the only way to take action is if you are persistent in the moments where not taking action is tempting. So this plays out in like regular life circumstances all the time. This could be like a busy season at work where it's challenging. You're getting up extra early, you're getting home extra late, and it's challenging to get your workouts in. Or you go on a vacation or travel pops up and you're out of your normal routine of exercise and eating. There's a lot more temptation around. It's challenging to take the right action. Even further examples, you hit a plateau because you were being consistent for a while, and now you're like, shoot, I'm still doing the things, but I'm not getting results. What am I going to do? I'm tempted to quit. Or you have an injury. You forget your lunch at work and going through the drive-through, or is really tempting versus like running to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. These are all challenges that you're going to face that are going to stand in your way of being consistent. But the answer is to focus on being persistent in those circumstances, becoming skilled at adapting to the challenges that come up, and having the mindset that that's the thing that's holding you back, is encountering these situations and not throwing your plan out the window, which leads to no consistency, but being willing to adapt, make compromises, troubleshoot, problem solve, and therefore take action, even if it's not perfect, and that will lead to the consistency that you want.
Pop quiz you here.
All right.
I'm going to give you a couple examples, and then you're going to figure out how you would be persistent in that situation. Okay. You go to the 5:30 class at your CrossFit gym. Mm-hmm. You end up at 5:15, you're still at work. You're not going to make it. What do you do to be persistent?
What time would I get there if I just went anyway? How late would I be?
You're not going to make the class. You're not going to walk in at like 5:45 or 6 o'clock at a 5:30 class. So you're not going to make it.
I think most CrossFit gyms probably still post their workouts online or on their Instagram account. So I would look at what the workout was supposed to be for the day, and I would do the closest version of that as possible at home. And
because you have like one weight and a jump rope at home, and you can get
or I would mimic like the stimulus that they're going for in that class, do it at home, or even try to reach out to the coach and like text them, hey, I'm not going to make it. What's the workout? Or can you give me a modified version of the workout? I can think of a lot of gym owners and coaches that would be happy that their client, their member is wanting to do something instead of nothing. And worst case scenario, you do some form of exercise at home, even if you can't get to the gym and do your training for the day.
All right, love it.
My client Justin did this today. Right before we started recording this podcast, I was checking my client's workouts from today, and he knew he had a call coming up that interfered with the only time that he had to work out during the day. So he did his workout, but he shortened everything a little bit. He took a set off of each exercise he was going to have to do, and he shortened the conditioning at the end to be able to continue to be persistent. Get done what he could, and that leads to him being consistent over time, and that's the reason that he's lost 9 pounds in the last 6 weeks. So boom.
Okay, next one.
Is this another troubleshooting?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to have a couple of these.
All right.
You leave home in the morning at 8:30. You plan to be back by 11:30. Circumstances get in the way. It's going to be 3 o'clock before you get home now. You didn't pack your lunch. You were going to eat whenever you got home. What do?
Kind of like I alluded to when I was rambling there, was that instead of going through the drive-through, I would stop at a grocery store. I'd go in and get 2 things of yogurt or a core power shake, a piece of fruit, and maybe like look for some little small starchy carb thing that they have, and try to have a somewhat balanced meal by running into the store instead of going through the drive-through and having something that's going to make me fall asleep, make me not want to train in the afternoon, and give me a whole bunch of calories.
All right, last one.
All right.
Your schedule's fine, but your elbow's really been bothering you lately whenever you're in the gym doing your digital barbell workouts. So this week, you're planning to I'm not going to go in, I'm going to give my elbow some rest. What would you do instead? if your elbow's really bothering you.
Yeah, I mean, last time I looked at my entire body, I got a lot more going on for joints and muscles than just one elbow. So I would look at, and we're going to talk about this when we talk about coming from the back injury, but I would look at all the things that I can continue to do. If I'm doing this on my own, that's how I would approach it. If I'm working with a coach, this is one of our clients, we would be in communication and say, look, here's what's going on with my elbow. How can we adjust my program so I can continue to do what I can, persistence, and ultimately be consistent with training still.
All right. You get 3 check marks. You're very good.
I wrote this quote down that I forgot to read. I'm sure it's going to change somebody's life, so let me just read it since I missed it the first time. I wrote, you can't have action without a mindset of empowerment, of being adaptable to circumstances, and the willingness to look at obstacles in the way of your goals as opportunities to adapt and be persistent. Was that confusing?
Yes, it's a little.
Maybe I wrote this too early this morning.
This?
I wrote this pretty early this morning. Let me try it one more time. You can't have action without, because I was talking about how you can never have consistency unless you're taking action. There's no consistency in anything unless you're taking action. And you can't have action without a mindset of empowerment, of being adaptable to the circumstances,
This quote's not going to be one of those things.
Okay, I take back what I said about this changing somebody's life. Anyway, you just have to have the willingness to be able to adapt in order to be able to take action.
Okay.
You're going to try to read it? There's definitely a few words missing in there. I used the Grammarly plugin on Google Chrome to help me look for grammatical errors. Obviously, both of us were asleep when I wrote
Grammarly and you?
Yeah. So anyway.
I mean, the first part is good. You can't have action without a mindset of empowerment, of being adaptable to the circumstances. So meaning the willingness to look at obstacles in the way of your goals as opportunities to adapt.
Yeah. It's
basically it's like opportunities versus excuses.
Yeah, just like the whole Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way kind of thing. Like either an obstacle that pops up in your day is going to be the thing that throws you off track, or it's going to be the way that you are persistent and ultimately still reach your goals.
Mm-hmm. It's just like those small little mindset victories that you get by, instead of the way you feel by making an excuse and then being like, I'm not doing that, here's my excuse why. And you maybe you feel like that's better, you feel better in the moment, but then you end up feeling pretty bad about that, or the overcoming the obstacle and you feel like you're like running up the rocky stairs celebrating.
Right.
I mean, and it can be little things like the forgetting your lunch example and doing the thing of going into the grocery store versus through McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Those little things will get you the rocky run, because maybe that tastes good when you go through McDonald's, but then after that you're like, man, I shouldn't have done that. And like you live with that moment for longer if you do the excuse route versus like if you continue to do the like I'm gonna overcome this obstacle. Yeah. I mean, man, you're just like climbing those stairs.
And we've talked about this many times on this podcast before, but no matter which road you try to go down, like the excuse making route or the persistence route, you're going to get better at each. It's no different than anything in your life that you practice. So if you practice problem solving and being persistent, it's going to become easier and you're going to get better at it over time. If you go for instant gratification and don't try to troubleshoot situations and just default back to your old behaviors, you're going to get really good at doing that until you've just completely gone back to everything that you're doing that no longer aligns with your health goals.
All right. Pin drop on that one. Let's go.
Pin drop. All right, let's get into a real question.
Okay.
I'm done rambling on that.
All right. Let me read this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Don't laugh. This is a question. Don't laugh, but I felt an electric shock feeling at the bottom of my back when I sneezed the other day, and my low back seized up immediately. Any tips on getting back to working out and staying motivated while it heals?
Isn't that the worst?
It is the worst. When I was really going through like my back injury stuff, a sneeze was the worst thing I could possibly think of happening. A sneeze or a trip, like tripping on like a sidewalk crack. Those two things would just like, it felt like it set me back too. I'm like, okay, I'm getting better. And then I sneeze and then you're just like, oh, nope, I'm not better.
Yeah, but we both like had our experiences with back injuries, and we know like when you're in that place, it can be super discouraging. Like you can feel like you're never going to be normal again. You're going to feel fragile.
You feel so. That's the thing I was going to say. You feel so fragile in those moments because your back. I mean, your back like is involved in everything that you're doing: getting up, sitting down, like picking something up, walking, turning, and you feel fragile when you have to be like a statue.
Yeah. So to answer the last part of the question first, how do I stay motivated while it heals? Back to the question about like, what do you do if your elbow hurts and you want to work out? You got to focus on the things that you can control and know that you will be normal again. Yeah. And let's just talk about like the 5-step or 4-step process that we have for coming back from any injury. Yeah. And I'll put a link. I have a blog about this that I wrote. I'll put a link to it. And I wrote this blog right after I had hurt my back one day. So this is the exact process that we take our clients through and I've used personally. So step number 1 is don't freak out. Don't catastrophize. Don't think you're always going to be this way. Don't think that you're broken. Don't believe the hype that you hear. Like, there's that people will just say like, oh, this is the reason you shouldn't have been doing that. Or like, that just shows you getting old sucks. Like put all that stuff out of your mind because a huge part of pain is mental. And if we can master that side of it, it really gives our body a chance to heal. So don't freak out. Don't catastrophize. Step number 2 is to do things that don't hurt to build confidence and reassurance. This feeds back into the mindset side of things. But the worst thing you can probably do when you have a back injury, unless a doctor, a trained professional tells you otherwise, is to just completely immobilize yourself. Like the way that the body heals things is through this stress recovery adaptation cycle and blood flow being healing. So just laying there is not going to be a long-term solution to you getting better. We're not telling you to like go right back and, well, in this case you sneezed and got hurt. That's out of your control. But let's just say you hurt your back doing a back squat or a deadlift. We're not saying like immediately go back to doing that exercise that you did, but experiment with different things that you can do that create motion, that don't increase the pain, and do those things. It's going to give you the mental boost to keep going in this healing journey. Step number 3 is to get back to training and then doing movements as close to possible as anything that doesn't cause you pain. Like let's say you was the back squat. Sneeze was a tough example because I can't tell you like get back to like do some light sneezing and then we're going to progressively overload into that like to a full at-you moment like my mother-in-law does. But yeah, so like I said, this healing comes through the stress recovery adaptation cycle, the exact same process that causes muscles to grow and to get you stronger. So we're going to take advantage of that, cause a little bit of stress through movements that don't hurt to cause this healing to take place. So let's say like it was the squat. We're going to do some air squats. Then we're slowly going to increase the range of motion until we're doing a full depth squat. Then we're going to add a little bit of load. It's a simple process. It just takes a little forethought, some guidance, and some consistency in it. Yeah. And then step 4 is to slowly work your way back towards the full range of motion, doing normal exercises, and then continuing to add load, weight to those things, all while trying to avoid pain. It's not necessarily about like, how does this feel when you're doing it? Because there might be some discomfort as you work through the sticking points and you regain the range of motion. But do you feel better the next day? Like, do you have more mobility in that range of motion without pain the day after? So that is the step. Like, I can't tell you how many people we've been able to help get out of pain just by going through that simple framework right there.
And I'll go through really quickly, like we've talked about this in some old podcasts, but if you haven't listened to those ones, like when I was coming back, I went through years of dealing with a back injury and the things I did. So, the first thing I did was really, really work on my core. Like that is pretty much all I did for a long period of time, is just go into the gym and do static holds, because I knew that I needed to make my core stronger so that things like this, like a sneeze or like picking up a kid or things like that, didn't affect my back as much. So that was the first thing I focused on. And then, from body weight to literally just back squatting the barbell, deadlifting the barbell, and building up through linear progressions there. And then there was still like, for years, there was a handful of movements that I did not do. I did not do things like kettlebell swings. I did not do things like box jumps, like jarring movements. That affected me, those took years to build back into my routine. And then finally, I slowly added those type of things in. So there was still I was able to do plenty of things and, anything that pretty much anything, all the things to get strong and continue. And, and if I had a setback, same situation, as I would, remove weight and kind of go through these steps again, but continue to focus on building my core and building my strength.
Yeah. I think just like for some context too, there's different levels of a back injury.
Right.
It's very unlikely that whatever happened during this sneeze was like, something would indicate surgery is required or anything like that. But in your specific case, like you had a full-blown disc herniation where like the outer coating of your disc ruptured, the fluid inside the disc came out, was impinging on a nerve. Yeah. You were having weakness in your foot. Like that's why you had such a long progression. Like when I strained my back deadlifting a month ago, it was a muscle strain that was uncomfortable for a while, and I used this exact process. Like there's different levels to this kind of stuff.
But I do think that like the core is there because, if something like a sneeze does bother your back, then there is probably something going on where like, maybe some building up some core strength will help you in the long run. So like focusing on, even like extra core holds or something like that after your workouts and continuing to do your strength training. These are the things I think that will help you continue to just like, basically build a stronger body so that these things don't.
Yeah, there's no downside to increasing your core strength for sure.
All right.
I like it. Hope that helps.
Next one.
You want me to read this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I've been open for business for almost a year, but I'm struggling to get new clients, and I'd like to make this my full-time job. Do you have any advice? So obviously,
for a new online coach.
Yeah, they said open for business, but I'm going to assume you're an online coach. So I'm happy to help with this. Like, I think we got to start with a little bit of a conversation about what your expectations are, because they said they've been doing this for a year, struggling to get clients, and they'd like to make this their full-time job. I would what is your expectation for how much money you need to be making to make this your full-time job? Like, are you the sole breadwinner for the house? Do you have another job right now? There's nothing more frustrating than going into anything in life having unrealistic expectations that you don't fulfill. So, if you're brand new to this, it's probably going to take some time to build up to where this is going to become your full-time job. I wouldn't recommend dropping your whole source of income and putting the pressure on yourself to make it your full-time job all at once. You'll probably start to resent it. You'll feel burnt out, and it probably won't work. So anyway, enough about that. Just think about your monthly expenses as we talk about everything else in this. So we have a 7-part podcast series that we did this time last year called Digital Barbell Business, Taking Your Side Hustle Too Serious. So I would definitely go back and listen to those 7 episodes, but I'll just give you a Cliff Notes version of what the advice that we gave in all those. Really, it's all just kind of high-level business advice. Some of it is specific to running an online coaching business, but I would say the things that have made our business as successful as it is looking at what makes any business successful. What are the basics of a well-run business that gets clients great results, makes clients love working with you, and continually brings new clients into your atmosphere and nurtures them in a way that they understand what you do and feel comfortable hiring you. Like they learn to know, like, and trust you. That's the essence of any business that you want to hire. So you have to define what's the problem that you want to solve for your clients, and then make yourself known that that's what you want to do. That's a big overarching theme of all the advice. Specifics that I think a lot of people overlook. Number one, we definitely recommend getting a website. Would you buy something from a company that wasn't even professional enough to have a website? I know a lot of coaches and even mentors are like, you don't need a website, just an Instagram page is enough. We disagree with that.
Yeah.
A website is something that you own. You control the content that's on there. It's something you can change in real time. Try to go back and change all your Instagram posts from 3 years ago. Good luck with that. After you have a website, that you need a way to bring new people into your atmosphere. And, this is assuming you've already kind of tapped into your network of people that you already know. I know when we went full time on this, our first 5 clients were people that we already had a relationship with. We just reached out to them and be like, hey, you know what?
We're starting this thing.
You know what we do. We can now help you in this platform, and boom, some of those clients are still with us here 4 or 5 years later. Okay. So, you need a way to capture new people. The best way to do that is to provide value to them and solve a problem for them through what's called a lead generator. It's really just something you give them in exchange for their email address that is legitimately good. You can't make a piece of junk and expect somebody to be like, oh wow, this person really can help me. You need to have a legit thing that's great, like a workout program, something like that.
I think that's the biggest piece in all of these things, is to have a way to capture people's emails and contact information that is looking at your information. Liking something or liking your Facebook or Instagram page is not someone who is serious. Think about the things that you personally like.
Yeah.
And like, you're not serious about buying from them, but if you give someone your email address, then that's a different level. So keep capturing those emails. Those people will come and go off your email list, but capturing the emails of the people that are serious about like trusting you. And then later on, even if you're not selling anything right now, later on down the road, those are the people you can sell to.
Yeah. And then once you have the third thing on the list goes exactly what you're talking about there. Once you have those email addresses, because you've already provided something of value to them, now you're going to nurture those people by continually communicating with them. We email our email list 3 times a week, every week. And we provide nothing but free value in there. And then occasionally when we have something to sell, like this workout program, we give them an incentive to buy through the email. But you got to like take this opportunity of this person who's already trusted you to tell them more about what you're at, provide them value constantly. And then when the decision comes to like, who am I going to hire to help me with my health and fitness? Well, you've been in this person's face 3 times a week for the last 5 years.
You're
like
on top of mind.
Who else are they going to hire? Just Joe Schmo that like just they came across a funny Instagram post? I don't think so. All right. Fourth thing, and probably a lot of people think this is at the top of the list, is having a presence on social media and posting on there consistently. This is something that we are currently like experimenting with doing less of, putting less emphasis on social media because we're kind of tired of playing the algorithm game and trying to cater to whatever the people over at Instagram and Meta like want you to, what hoops they want you to jump through right now. But anyway, regardless of that, having some sort of social media presence is important to build the know, like, and trust, show people the values that you have, and establish some credibility, showing that you both can get people results and you're a good human. You got to have an offer and at a price that makes sense. So you got to give some thought to what your value is, the person that you're targeting, what they can afford to pay you, and what is a fair price. And then try to think about like, how is your offer going to play out in cash flow over the course of the month and the entire year too?
Yeah, I think when you say makes sense to both the person purchasing and to you. Like, you need to be able to make enough money, for the things that you're doing and the infrastructure that you're building, like, what kind of systems do you have that cost money and all those things. But then also it needs to make sense to the market, like you can't charge way more than the market just because you need to make more money. Or if you're significantly less, then you don't really, like, people do value like prices of things. So they're like, oh, this person's like super cheap, but that's probably not, worth it. So you have to kind of do your homework there. Yeah,
like we've told this story before, but when we first started Digital Barbell, we thought we were going to offer like just training templates at $20 a month. We would have like
to 10,000 people.
And our first business mentor was like, "No, you need to drop that idea."
Do you know 10,000 people? 100,000 people?
Right. Here we are 5 years later, and we have like less than 3,000 Instagram followers. But that doesn't stop us from making this a full-time job. So proof that social media is not the king when it comes to like creating a sustainable business. I think most coaches charge between $200 and $400 per month for the type of service that we provide. So if that gives you a ballpark figure, then there you go. And then last but not least, I kind of hinted at this before, but you need to actually have an ideal client that you want to talk to. You can't be for everybody, or people will feel like you're for nobody. You can't be so vague that I don't know if this person can help me. Like, you don't have to get so targeted where you look at somebody's Instagram profile and it's like, I help women between 33 and 33 and a half lose 7 pounds in the first 6 weeks while eating ice cream, donuts, and riding a Peloton bike. Like, there's going to be so many people that are eliminated just because that's so specific. But get known for one thing. If I have to say like what we're most known for is providing fun workouts that are doable for the average person, that actually gets them results and makes them look like they work out. Because we know that health and longevity are important, and we give that to our clients. But we also know that we're going to the gym 3, 4, 5 times per week because we also want to look good at the beach
and we want to keep you coming.
And that's totally doable with the right approach. So I can't tell you how many people have hired us thinking like saying to us, that's what I want.
I want to look like I work out.
That's what I want. And there's people in group classes everywhere busting their butt that don't. So there's plenty more people out there who can hire us. Okay, I'll stop talking about that. I hope that was helpful. If you have any specific questions, like feel free to reach out and we'll give you some more advice.
Well, I was going to say, like in the meantime, if you're still like, I'm still building up and I don't have a ton of clients yet, some things that you can do, like some things that we did in the beginning, are start to build your infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have a website, you're going to need photos. So like I'm a big stickler in using my own photos and videos for everything. I don't use any stock photos and I don't use any videos. I'm never gonna send a client a video off of like YouTube that's not something I personally demonstrated. So like I'm a big stickler for that for us. And so back in the day, we just like made tons and tons of photos and videos, and we were just like have that stockpile now that we can still reference.
Yeah.
And the other pieces are like building your website, building your, the things that your freebie giveaways.
Yeah, your collateral.
Like all of these there's so many pieces that you can be building when you have time because you don't have a ton of clients to work with right now.
You have time, but no money. So you spend that time on things that are going to make you money.
If you don't have a ton of clients right now, those are some of the things you can be working on, other than just like, okay, I'm going to need to find some clients. Like building that infrastructure will pay off once you get those clients rolling in. Yeah.
We talked about this in the specific episode about the website, but one of the best things we ever did for our business when we started, and we continue to do today, is writing long form content on our blog.
Yeah, that's the other piece, blogs. Yeah.
I mean, we have hundreds of blogs. Yeah. Like when somebody asks us a question, one of our clients asks us a question, like chances are we have a long form blog about that where we can send them our specific opinion and what we want them to know about it. And the great thing about that is not only does it establish us as an expert in the field, but Google picks it up. People find our website articles, which have links to our lead generators in them. And it's this cycle that feeds the business.
In addition to that is the videos. Like if someone has a very specific little thing that's going on in one of their lifts, we have probably made a video that addresses that certain subject. So we just go back into our archives, like here's a video, and it's us showing them how to answer that exact question. And I have so many clients that are like, wow, like that's exactly what I need to hear. And it's just due to like experience we had coaching with people, but like back in the day, making all of these videos that felt like, why am I doing this at the time, but has paid off tremendously now.
You can do that if you put these videos on your YouTube channel. You can't do that if you only post these videos on social media.
Yes.
So all right. Okay, last question is, what are 3 or 4 daily habit kind of things that both of you do to stay in shape? Good question. I had to really give this some thought because my mind immediately started going to like things that I do to stay in shape that aren't really daily habits. I had to like erase some things and start over.
Okay.
So here's what I came up with.
Go first.
Number 1, I weigh myself first thing every morning. Like, how does that help me stay in shape? Well, it holds me accountable to my other daily habits. So the habit of me weighing myself starts to show me as I look at my weight graph in my phone, like, my weight has been trending up for the last 2 weeks. Like, what am I doing that's causing me to gain that weight? And then I can get real about extra snacks are sneaking in, or I've been treating myself to a scone more often than normal at a coffee shop. And it gives me a chance. It gives me a chance to make a change if I want to. So that helps me stay on track. Another daily habit for sure that helps me is eating breakfast, and I'll put a little asterisk by this one, and also having protein at every single meal. Okay. It's we've talked about this before, but they've proven in the weight loss registry of people who have lost weight and keep it off that like over 75% of those people eat breakfast every day. It's just a fundamental habit of somebody who maintains a healthy weight. So I do it every day. Number 3, I go to bed at the same time every night. Close enough, not exactly. I don't like set an alarm. Like, it's time to go to bed. Let's go. Like I was in the middle of a show. No, go to bed at the same time and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. We're lucky that we don't have to report for duty at a certain time. Every morning we wake up without an alarm, but it never fails that I automatically wake up after having 7 and 8 hours of sleep every night. And that only starts by going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah, because that time you wake up is anywhere between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. It's not like you're sleeping till 9 to get those hours because you're because you're going to bed at a reasonable hour and like allowing yourself to get that rest. And not waking up and like rushing into the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So many people struggle with sleep, and when you dig in a little bit, you find out that they're getting in bed at 11 and they're scrolling on their phone until noon. Then they're tired
till noon,
till midnight. It's a 12,
Yeah.
midnight, noon, whatever. And it all originates because it's like the Seinfeld quote, like night guy screwed morning guy. So
if night guy was having fun.
If morning guy is having a bad time, it's got to go back to night guy. What is night guy doing that's sabotaging morning guy?
Yeah.
You want to get more sleep, get in bed. All right. The last thing that I do is I follow a training program 5 days a week. That might not sound like a habit, but it is. Like regularly exercising and training is a habit that keeps me healthy. I don't think of it as like work I have to do. It's something I get to do, a habit I get to choose. And I purposely said following a training program is because if I just came out here into our office gymnatorium here and did whatever felt good that day, all I'd be doing every time is like curls and tricep extensions, like maybe the occasional back squat. I've got to have something to follow. Luckily, I'm married to somebody who knows how to program workout, so I follow the program that Blakely writes, but it's instrumental in me being able to stay on track. It's taking away the guesswork and know what I need to do every day I get in the gym.
Awesome. All right.
What about yours?
Okay. I tried to come up with some different ones because yours were already written down, so I was like, ooh, an opportunity here. The first thing is I prioritize movement every day. So I follow the same five-day workout schedule, and when things come up, like people are coming here or whatever, I definitely, we generally try to work out around the same time. I move those up into the day, up earlier, like first thing before breakfast, so that I can prioritize that. And I use like a long walk or something like that as a last resort, just so I prioritize movement. And then on that same note, on the second thing I do is I have a habit of just checking into my watch. Like I check it like midday, end of work day, and at night. And it just helps me to see like how active was I. Like this can happen on days where we have like super heavy workloads, or if we go to a coffee shop and it can be 3:00 and I'm at 2,000 steps and I'm like, whoa, I'm going to have to really work it to get to finish, so I just keep checks on that. And that really just helps me.
That's kind of like weighing yourself
stay,
to see where you're at.
Like how much have I moved today? This is a thing I've used forever, but I use a certain drink, and the drink has changed, but a certain drink I drink before I work out.
Is it vodka?
No, it's not vodka. Like a pre-workout type drink. And the drink has changed, the flavor or what I'm drinking, the pre-workout type thing has changed. But that same drink really signals to my mind and my body that I'm about to go into the gym and do this. And so, people don't think that coaches or whatever, people that work out all the time, they think they always want to work out, but that's not the truth. So it's really this helpful thing that I tells my body, you're about to do this. You just drink that drink, so let's go,
Yeah, it's I think the key takeaway in that is people get hung up on the details, well, what's the best thing to drink before you work out? It doesn't matter
what it is.
Get the ritual down, get the habit down. And
it could be whatever.
Be a placebo,
it could be water with a drop of apple flavoring, whatever you like, whatever helps you, if it has a little caffeine or whatever it is, but I have a certain drink that tells my body, let's go. And then, we've weighed and measured our food in different scenarios in our life for so many times, so I don't really have to log and weigh and measure my food anymore, but I always weigh my protein as a standard thing, because I always just that's the one thing I want to make sure that I'm getting in enough protein. Yeah. People sometimes at our house will make fun of me for weighing my protein, and I'm like, I'm not trying to not take I'm not trying to not take too much. I'm trying to make sure I take enough.
Yeah, that's a great perspective on it.
Yeah.
I like it.
All
right. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you ever want to get a question in the queue for us to answer, just send us a message on Instagram and we'll get to it. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And like I said, if you'd like this episode, share it with a friend and make sure you subscribe before you go. Have a great day.